I'm Howard Schatz from New York City, and I'm a photographer. And one of the projects that I have been working on for a long time is the study of women at the end of their pregnancy. Pregnancy is generally about 39 or 40 weeks. And we have been making photographs of women at 39 and 40 weeks. And I've been doing this for quite a long time, probably 15, 16 years. And I continue to do that. The change in the woman's body, this temporary change in her life, is fascinating. It's a sort of biologic sculpture. There's a sort of a graphic design that's very beautiful and very rare and unusual and magnificent. Most of the women, once they found out that I'm doing this project, and we've put some of the photographs on our website, call me. And so I usually say to the women on the phone, why don't you come over and let us meet? And so I meet them, they see our studio, they see I'm a nice person and that it's a nice, safe place. I introduce them to Beverly Ornstein, my wife, who runs our studio, and they get a feeling of emotional comfort. And then I tell them that we'll make the pictures. Usually they come over when they're 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months pregnant. We'll make the pictures at the end of the pregnancy. They should call us at 38 weeks, and we will make an appointment to see them within a week or 10 days. And then I tell them, you know, there's no clothes. It's a study of the body. And for those women who say, I say, if you feel that way, don't do it. If at 38 or 39 weeks you change your mind and you say, okay, I can do it, call me. If you still feel worried and hesitant about having no clothes, I say, don't do it. That's who you are. You're a little shy. It's okay. Don't have to do it. And I would say almost all of them wind up calling me because it is a time of their life that's temporary. And they might not make a picture without their clothes normally, but when they're in this pregnant state, they feel almost like they're a different person. So they come and we try to make the pictures. There's a few other things about pregnancy. One is that when you face a pregnant woman straight on or from the back, you cannot see the pregnancy. The pregnancy, the abdomen grows out. It doesn't grow sideways. And so you can't really see the degree of pregnancy. So I learned quickly to make pictures by turning the tummy sideways or shooting from down or shooting up so that we see the extent of the growth of the abdomen out. You know, these women are at the end of their pregnancy. There are a few women who make an appointment and go into labor and have their baby before they come for their appointment, and we miss. So we miss. But 2 of the women, their water broke during the photo shoot. But we know that with the first baby, the beginning of labor is not anything to get too excited about. It's still many hours of labor before the baby is born. So I usually say, well, I think the shoot is over. I was always interested in photography. Even in medical school, I had a Nikon camera, and I always made pictures. It was always something. I always carried a camera, and I always made pictures, and I photographed everything interested me. I love looking through the camera. I love looking at my film. I love making prints, cropping, enlarging, making contrast, making it light. It always was interesting to me. But it was a hobby. And I worked and made my living as a specialist. I was an ophthalmologist trained to take care of people with retina problems. When my 2 children graduated high school and left home to go to college, I had time. I didn't have to be a daddy and paying attention and around. And so on the weekends, I began to devote my time very seriously to photography. I converted a large dining room into a studio, and I began to make portraits. I bought books. I studied hard. I went to the photography store, always asked questions. I made pictures. I edited my pictures. I worked very hard, even though it was 1 day a week. But that work began to get attention. We had books published. We had some museum shows. We had gallery shows. People were purchasing pictures in galleries. And we began to get some phone calls from advertising agencies to make pictures for them, pictures like the pictures I was taking. Beverly, who has a very wonderful business mind, took the phone calls, and when asked, does Howard do advertising photography? She said, well, of course. And we began to do work. We began to get assignments, and we began to get editorial assignments. And Beverly suggested, why don't we take a 1-year sabbatical from your medical work? I not only took care of patients, I was a teacher, I was a professor at a university, I wrote research papers and textbooks, I taught. She says, why don't you take 1 year from all of this, and we will move from San Francisco to New York for 1 year, and we'll see what it's like for a year. So I spoke with all of the people that I was associated with, and they said, of course, go ahead, take 1 year. We'll see you back in a year. Well, during that year, it was so much fun and so exciting and so interesting. And every day was a challenge and was something to learn. Beverly and I, we went to bed every night giggling, laughing over this happiness. And so after 1 year, we talked about maybe we'd take another year. And so I called San Francisco, and I called all my associates, and I called everybody, and I said, I'd like to take another year. And they said, okay, take another year. So we took another year. And after the second year, we took another year. And after the third year, we took another, and another, and another. And eventually, after 5 or 6 or 7 years, it was obvious that we were going to stay in New York and do photography. And I sort of left medicine go. I'm still interested. I still occasionally read medical literature. I have still maintained great friendships from my retina colleagues all across the United States. But we have been working now full-time in a studio in New York and Soho for 14 years. Well, we are here in Munich for a great blessing, gift, and celebration from Axel Breuer. You, as I understand it, you called us and asked about our work, and you and Beverly discussed a show. And we now have a show of my pregnancy work in the Axel Breuer Gallery in Munich. Last night was a wonderful opening. There were many, many, many people that came to the opening, and many people from all walks of life. There were professionals of all kinds. There was a doctor here, there were lawyers here, there were business people here, there were some artists here, there were television people here, there were even some midwives, and we had a very successful, wonderful reception here in Munich. Everybody has made us feel at home and comfortable. It's been a really happy few days.